Welcome to Strangers with Kittens. Today I'm going to be talking not to a Gen Xer, but to a millennial. My producer, Ashley Aker, and I were having this conversation about women's roles and life choices and ambition and success and how success is defined by society as well as by ourselves, for ourselves. And I think that those ideas are influenced heavily by our generation, right? I mean, women growing up in the 50s and 60s and even 70s kind of had a very narrow view of what was possible for a woman. And it was like you were going to be a nurse or a teacher. And then things opened up more for my generation and opened up more still for millennials and now Gen Zers. But what was possible for women, what was frowned upon suddenly, it's a lot to manage as a woman, as a young woman, especially when you're in college, when you just graduated, when you're navigating your first couple of jobs, when you are in a career that you thought you wanted and suddenly you don't, when you are thinking about getting married, having kids. All of these decisions are so weighty, and the ground was changing beneath our feet. And I didn't realize that it hadn't gotten that much better for millennials. I hope it's getting better as time goes on and that women can just make whatever choice is right for them and not feel that they're less than or that they're not living up to expectations. But I just thought it was an interesting conversation and one that I wanted you to hear. My producer, Ashley Aker of Aker Marketing, a company that she started herself and manages herself, is a social media marketing company, but she's also my producer. So please welcome Ashley Aker. Strangers with Kittens, Gen X stories from the least parented generation. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. It's good to see your face, and I'm loving that lipstick.
Thank you. It's new.
I really like it.
It's the Good Girl gloss.
Ooh, I
It
don't know
came
it. Tell me.
it came in that 21 12 days of Christmas. So
Oh,
it's
it did?
supposed to give me a little extra plump, but I'm not feeling the
Your lips are
tingle,
looking
so
especially mm.
I don't know. Like I have
Wait,
thin
so it
lips, but
is
usually
tingling or
it
it's not?
burns. It's
It's
not
oh,
tingling. Yeah. So I don't know if it's working, but if you think it's working, then
I don't know.
we're
They're
good.
looking very plump, and I have one called Buxom that tingles. It
Oh,
honestly feels like it might just have like the slightest hint of like, peppermint essential oil in it. I don't know that that really does anything, but it feels like it does.
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm one of those people that needs to feel it working, but now I know that the sensation of it working doesn't really mean that's a good thing. You could be allergic.
Right. It doesn't
So,
feel great. Oh, God.
yeah. I
You're like, is it plumping or anaphylaxis?
should I call the doctor? Or is it beautiful?
Exactly. Get your EpiPen ready. Or you could just be looking more gorgeous.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with gorgeous, so
I am too. I think,
yeah.
listen, I think you look gorgeous if you start,
Yes, if
having trouble breathing or
we notice
collapsing.
any
I'll call
rash.
the authorities.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love the collar. I can't believe
Thank
like
you.
a collar that you didn't pick out yourself looks so great on you.
I was inspired
Good.
by your last episode about, jumping into brighter colors and wearing makeup that you wouldn't normally gravitate towards. So I was feeling it
Oh,
today.
good. Good. Well, I got to tell you, we really got our fingers on the pulse here because I started out my day. I'm working out every day now, which is like a new thing for me. I
Yeah.
go in and out, but I'm working out every day. I set up my basement. I've got like a little home gym going on. And my go-to in the 90s was the Cindy Crawford workout VHS
Mhm.
tape. And, it's funny because when it came out, everybody slammed it, like Shape Magazine, Women's Health, like,
Mm, mhm.
all these outlets slammed it and said it wasn't safe and it was, too rushed and the exercises were dangerous, and I thought it was great, and I mean, yeah, sometimes it's a little rushed, and if you've ever exercised in your life, you kind of know that you might need to slow it down or modify or whatever,
Yeah.
but, like, what's great about it and you can find it on YouTube,
Yeah.
just look up Cindy Crawford workout and you can do the whole thing for free,
Mhm.
is it's got fantastic music that totally holds up still,
Oh,
and it switches between 3 different sceneries, so it's like her on a beach, her on top of a building in Tribeca, and then her in, like, an exposed brick, like, factory warehouse looking place. And,
interesting.
so it li yeah, it's really fun because it, like, keeps you
Oh,
visually
engaged.
engaged.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, and then, of course, she's gorgeous too, but, like, the music is so good, and so anyway, it's, like, my go-to if I'm feeling like I'm in a little bit of a rut and I need something different, and so, when it was over, another video automatically started, and it was the, like, trends for 2026. I don't know if it was
Okay.
Vogue or it was someone who kind of I think it was just, like, a woman who has a channel who it was very slick, but she kind of compiled stuff from Bazaar and Elle and Vogue and introducing more color, more colorful makeup, more color in your clothes is totally it for 2026. So
Yeah.
we didn't even know that we were ahead of the trend.
You don't have to listen to 'em. It's good that we're on the target, but I try not to consume myself with it, you know? Like,
Yeah,
I
no,
just
I
try to
don't either,
feel
but
what yeah, but it is nice to know that we're not the only ones feeling that. Like, there's a shift
yeah,
happening, and
there's a shift happening.
I feel it.
It's like this like total shittiness in our country right now, like shocking,
Mhm.
horrific things going on. And
Yes.
then the need to buoy ourselves with some joy and some color and some creativity, right?
Yeah, you have to. Like you said, we have to control what we can, and we have to look at it, and I wanna make sure that I'm informed, but it is also, like, I have to control my little universe, and that's what I'm doing, and I want my little universe to feel brighter and optimistic and hopeful, and that's what I'm trying to cultivate at home
Good.
and
I'm
with
so
myself.
glad.
And I'm glad that you're working out. I need the cardio. I love
Good.
conditioning, but I don't love cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it does give you the
Right.
endorphins at the end, but the actual act of doing it isn't always the most fun. And I will
I
say, when I was like really big into running, which I was for years, and I would do 5Ks and 10Ks and stuff,
oh,
I made the goal for myself because I wanted to run every day, which isn't
mm,
great for you because it doesn't let your body, you can get
recover.
shin splints and stuff. Yeah, depending on how
Yes.
many miles you're putting in. But I would say to myself, I'm going to run every day, knowing I wasn't going to because things happen, right? Especially you have 3 children. Like, you don't know what your days, from one day to the next, how
Yeah.
it's going to go. But if you say to yourself, I'm going to run every day, but mentally you say, the actual goal at the end of the week is 4 to 5 days that I've run,
Yes.
then every week you're probably going to hit that.
Yeah, it has to be realistic. I ran on the first, and that's it. I was like, something has been happening every day when during that grace period
Yeah.
where you can like get your sweat on. I'm sorry, I have a
Yes.
little one. What's going on?
Don't be sorry.
One snack,
The
I should have
voice.
known. One snack is not enough. So, expect
Why have
that to
one
happen
snack when you can
again.
have 2? I fully do, and I fully support it.
Yeah.
I kept voicemails from my kids when they were younger for so long before I switched carriers because I just love to go back and hear their voices.
Yeah. Oh,
It really is the
that'd be
best.
cute. That's something I don't get
Yeah.
because I
Do,
work
like,
from
little
home.
voice recordings of
Yes.
them so that you can have it,
Yeah.
like, on the cloud. Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's
We
really
have a
fun.
little
Like,
instead of, like, the baby book, we have, like, a kid's quote book, and that is still so hard, but I do have a few things that, like, we just write down, and then after years pass,
yes.
you lose the context, and it gets even more funny because you're like,
Yeah.
"What was even happening?" Like, what? So, I try to keep up on that one because that one's fun. But, yes,
It is
little
fun.
voice notes. We got snow yesterday, and
Aw.
you wouldn't know it
Snow in
because
Arizona, by the
it
way. You educated me. I didn't even know that it snowed in Arizona.
it does get very snowy in Flagstaff. Here, we're a little lower elevation, so we don't get as much.
Okay.
But we did get a dusting, and my 5-year-old was like, "I have to go outside. I have to play in it." And I'm like, "There's not enough to do a snowman, a snowball. There's nothing." And he's like, "I have to." And I said, "Okay, go for it." And he just spent
Again,
like
I
an hour
concur.
outside, and it was just, "Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah." And just he was just like crushing snow with his boot. I was like, that's
Aw.
childhood right there.
I love it, yeah. I have a little notebook that I wrote in, when my twins were little, and I still have it, and I was so, like, overwhelmed and in the trenches, like, all the time that I probably wrote down 10 things over the course of years, which is
Yeah.
pathetic, but it still makes me happy when I stumble upon it and open it and, I forget and then read it and remember, and I
Yeah.
remember for the most part, because there's so few of them, I remember the situation too, so it just makes me laugh.
Oh, good. Yeah. I always, you always worry that like you're gonna forget. And I guess you do,
And you
but like
do,
there
because it's replaced with other things.
with new things, yeah. But there are those moments that I think you just keep forever and thankful you don't
Yeah.
have to like write them down. But yeah, and then what's
Yeah.
cool is that they'll have their own memories that you won't remember, but it sticks out
Yes.
for them. And
Right.
that could be good or bad, but
Right.
I'm gonna
Some stuff they'll bring to therapy, some stuff
yeah, I was
they'll
like,
fondly
we'll,
reflect on.
we'll see. We'll see what the experiment
You
has
gotta give them something
created.
to chew on, I mean, come on.
Yeah, you gotta do gotta make it a
Can't be
little
all good.
interesting. Nope.
Exactly, you need a little spice in there.
Yeah.
So, when we were talking the other day, we were talking about women's roles and how they've changed a lot in just a couple of generations.
Yeah.
Some stuff stays the same. Some of it is lousy, the stuff that stays the same. But I found it interesting that you are just such a force of nature. You have taught me so much. You've done so much for Strangers with Kittens. When I needed to pivot and needed a producer, you were like, "Okay, I'm in."
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, you've just been fantastic, and
Maybe one day,
you're
but
raising you're raising 2 children and homeschooling them.
yeah.
So, we were discussing women's roles, and you seemed almost apologetic when you were talking about being a stay-at-home parent, and I can't believe that toxic social disease has trickled down to even your generation, because I know that I have worked since I was 11 years old. I've had many, many different kinds of jobs. I've had jobs, I've waitressed, I've been a film
Yeah.
publicist, I've, obviously like stand up comedian, actor, like teacher, writer. Being a stay at home parent is by far the hardest job I ever had. And
Yeah.
it is 24/7. And even if you are away and your spouse or you're fortunate enough to have grandparents that are involved or whatever are
Mhm.
watching them, you're still on call. You're still, depending on your kids, like, but I don't know anyone who aren't. Like they're still calling, they're still needing you,
Yeah.
there's still questions to be answered. And there's no other job like that. And it's a great job. I mean, there's
Oh,
nothing more
yeah.
gratifying, but it's also just hard.
Never
And then
ending.
to be homeschooling on top of that, and then to have your own business, be running your own business, working from home. I mean, Jesus, like,
Well, when you put it that way. I
seriously, I'm
often
I'm just stating the facts.
I feel like we are our own, like, toughest critics, and so it is very easy to slip into, like, it's never enough, and I think that
Right.
that is part of the mother thing, is, like, being a parent and, like, wondering constantly if you're doing enough there. I believe it has to come from society, just being a woman, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But I
No, it
have learned.
does. It seeps into your consciousness.
Yeah, I don't love it, and I'm trying to quiet it because when you do list it down on paper, you can see that you're doing a lot and you deserve a break. I can't say that I'm doing this, but I have thought mentally, instead of a to-do list, I want an I did list. So at the end of the day, I write down the things that I did. And it can be as simple as eating breakfast during a traditional breakfast hour instead of
Yeah,
eating your first meal at 1 p.m. So
yeah.
that you can see that you're doing something. And because sometimes it gets to 6 p.m. and you're like, I don't know what I did. I can't even, it feels like a failure, but that's not the case. So,
I'm a big fan of this idea of the I did list or,
yes, I did
because,
it.
do it for a week, don't feel
Yeah.
like you have to make this huge change in your daily habits, but do it for a week just to prove to yourself. I think you're just gonna
Yeah.
be exhausted reading it.
Oh, yeah, because if you really look at it, you're doing a lot. Everybody is, and, everyone deserves a break and take time to care for themselves.
Millennials go from 81 to 95, I think, right? Or 96? I
I
mean,
am
wait. Yeah, because Gen X is
It is.
65 to 80. So yeah, so you're smack in the middle of that.
I yeah, I hate it and I love it. The millennials are catching a lot of heat lately, so it's not very fun, but I like it for the most part.
Yeah, I have other friends that are millennials, and I'm impressed with how, I mean, I know this is also what you guys get a lot of shade for, but I'm impressed at how in touch with their emotions a lot of millennials are, and the language around their emotions, like, that seems
Okay.
so basic to someone who grew up in a time where that was part of the zeitgeist, but when you didn't, like, listening to millennials, I remember years ago listening to my now friend, then babysitter of my youngest son. um, Granted, she had been a psychology major and was working toward her master's, so she was exceptionally, like, emotionally intelligent, but just hearing her talk about her emotions, other people's emotions, relationships, I was like, "Hmm." It was all it was all new. I was like, "Wow, there are words for those things."
Yeah, we can name it.
We can
Yeah.
name it and we can, like, process it.
We are so in our emotions and we are very aware of all of our emotions. We're always in our feels. And I'd like
Right.
to say that I'm in everyone's feels because, or like in everyone's emotions, if that's not clear enough, because
Yeah.
I'm eldest daughter. I think that has a lot to do with it, is that I am always mediating everyone's emotions. I'm always navigating what everyone else is feeling and adjusting to what is needed.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think all just like all Gen Xers aren't created equal, neither are
Yeah.
millennials. But yeah, like, my husband actually had to take a workshop at work on how to work with millennials. It's the
Oh, no.
only time they've ever had to do that.
Oh my
And not
gosh.
and not Gen Z, like, they're not doing it for Gen Z, but for
What was
millennials, they
in the
had to.
workshop?
Just about being sensitive and explaining, like almost over explaining and managing expectations and yeah, just being gentler, you
Oh,
know? Yeah, that
yeah.
millennials really need, um, that soft touch, you know?
Interesting.
And I
Yeah.
read an article years ago on, interviewing that employers were having a really hard time. This is years ago now when millennials were first entering the workforce. There was one guy who brought his mother to a job interview,
Oh.
and it was like
Oh, no.
22. And then the mother contacted the boss to ask him why her son didn't get the job.
I think I maybe did hear about this. That's that's bizarre to me. I've never done that.
Yeah. So I think that's why there needed to be workshops on how to deal with it. I mean, not that that's the norm, but it also wasn't so rare that
Yeah.
it was something that had to be dealt with a lot of companies because they were like, "What the hell?" Now,
Yeah.
the good news is, like, in the '90s, when I was in my 20s and entering the workforce, the abuse, the
That was
sexual
rampant.
harassment,
Yes.
that was just accepted, and you just had to suck it up and deal with it and figure it out, and especially in the industry that I was working in, which was film publicity, it was
Mhm.
rampant. One of our clients was Harvey Weinstein. Um, yeah, so it
Wow.
was really bad, and it was like there was no recourse. There was nothing you could do about it.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's
cared.
just
Nobody
the way it was. Yeah. It's like
Yep,
if you want it, this is what this is the price. This is a part of the
exactly.
deal kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. So, as much as people were kinda like, "Oh my god, what is this hand-holding that needs to be done, and what is whatever," it's like, "You know what?
Mm.
I'm cool with the course correction because maybe the pendulum is going a little too far, but it
Yeah.
needed to right itself
Yeah.
because the shit that went on before that was bananas."
That's terrifying. I have had some friends leave workplaces because of sexual harassment, and I feel like that's still a concern in the workplace, but,
Yeah,
um, I would say as far as, like, my own personal work expectations, I guess, is that isn't normal, is praise. Like, if I'm not getting feedback, I assume I'm getting fired. Like, it's
that
like
it was also part of the workshop.
yeah,
Praise.
like, if I don't know if you're happy about it, unhappy about it, if I have nothing to go on, I assume I'm getting canned, like, in the next hour.
Yeah.
That's something I
Right.
know that is, like, toxic. Like, typically, no news is good news, but in that, like, in my brain, it's like, they didn't say anything. That means they hate it.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I know, and that's true, I think, of your generation and Gen Z because my daughter just came off a co-op, and she's always like, "My boss either likes me or hates me, like,
Yeah.
on any given day." I'm like, "I don't think she swings
Yeah.
that hot and cold," like, I but I think the communication it's like if the communication isn't there, the assumption is, "She hates me."
But the thing is, I don't know if it's warranted. It's definitely an extreme. Like some things you just they're fine. Like you don't need to communicate like that everything went well, like every step of it. I think that maybe as a generation we crave that feedback too much and kind of just need to let it go. Like I that's what I think in my own I have to let it go. Like someone will tell me if
Yeah,
something is
I think
wrong.
that's yeah, they will, and I think with previous generations, including mine, it was there's a lot more negative feedback, and,
Yeah.
I've talked about this in many episodes where it was like, if you, you know, broke your arm or had a piece of glass in your leg because you were playing in the woods, you kept it to yourself, because if you
Yeah.
didn't, you got in trouble, and it never, like, made the situation better to involve an adult. It was either you were gonna be screamed at for it, or at best, you might be ignored. So So to us, I feel like feedback kind of you didn't want it because it was rarely good.
That's true.
So, like, we don't crave it because we're just like, "I'm just gonna keep flying under the radar and hope that
Yeah.
nobody screams at me," you know?
I was just talking to my husband. There is no greater affirmation than a boomer telling you you did a good job because, like, they literally don't say anything nice most of the time.
Right,
So, you know, if they give you a
right.
compliment, you, like, really fucking earned it. And
You really
I don't
earned it
know
because that
what
was
boomer compliment.
painful for them.
Yes, I was like, that was so hard from them. Like, they're giving themselves a gold star tonight because they said something kind.
Yeah, and they're like, "Alright, that was
I did my
my
good deed for
annual
the day.
positive." Exactly, it's like, "That won't happen
Yeah.
again for at least 364 days."
I malfunctioned. What have I done?
Uh-huh.
So,
There's a glitch in the
y
system. It bums me out to think that younger women are gonna be doing that same Cynthia talked about it in the last episode about shoulding
Mhm.
yourself,
Uh, okay.
and it's like always feeling like I should be doing more, I should be doing this, I should be,
Mhm.
or I should have a different aspiration. Like, I remember you saying in a conversation we had last week about I had friends who had aspirations to be like a lawyer or I don't know, an accountant or an actor or a writer or whatever. And you
Yeah.
were like, I really want to be a mom, a wife and a mom. And you
Mhm.
felt almost apologetic about that. And I, it makes me sad to think that all of the progress that we've made as a gender, there's still these taboos or like, I'm not trying to push some kinda trad wife agenda. We're not gonna start, like, making our own yogurt or whatever, but, like, I
No.
just, that's a perfectly acceptable aspiration, and again, being a stay-at-home parent is hard as hell,
Yes.
you know?
I it is. I do remember my friends, they all were very career driven, and I I had career aspirations, but I always felt like my immediate goal was to like find a companion in life and create a family. And when I got that right away, it felt like, now what do I do?
Mm,
And so that kind of bummed me out. But because I got those things early on, I had a lot of time to figure out really where I felt more interested professionally. I
mm,
went to college, I picked a major, but by the end of college, I was like, "Mm, I don't want to do this. Like, what do I do?
yeah,
I'm thousands in debt now. I'm committed." And after I met my husband and we had our first child, I had much more time. I was at home and I had more time to kind of dabble in like hobbies and then kind of see where I felt good. And now when a lot of my friends are having their career crises where they're like, I don't think I can do this anymore, I'm feeling like I'm hitting my stride. And so we kind of just flipped. And I think that's pretty
yeah,
normal actually for people to
yeah,
either choose professional goals first and then family cultural goals second, or you do one or the other. So I try not to feel bad about it, but it does feel like when I'm having babies and then my friend is getting like a promotion or writing a book or doing something, it's like,
yeah,
what am I doing? I'm just making a baby, but it's like that's a really big deal too. And as a society we should be
yeah,
empowering everyone to pursue all of their goals. Like, it's not a bad thing to want a child.
and also to take life as it comes to you and be on your own path, right? And it's so hard to not compare yourself to your peers.
Yeah.
We're societal creatures, and we're always sort of looking around to see if we're
Mhm.
keeping pace with everyone, if we're doing
Mhm.
what the group is doing, and it's helped us survive and thrive as a species, but it would be nice to evolve past that in some ways and, like, just be especially for women, just support each other in whatever era we're in our lives. If you're in your, rearing children era and
Mhm.
finding your way and someone else is killing it in their career, they're equally awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and to just celebrate that and celebrate each other and support each other. I think even in the 50s and 60s, even though women didn't get the credit they deserved for it, I think that they were the ones that were making the buying decisions. They were the ones that were
Yeah.
making the decisions about kids and what, whatever, what school they were gonna go to or just
Okay.
everything.
Yeah.
Um, and and I think that that's still true today. I mean, we do almost all the emotional labor, which
Yeah.
we keep trying to change, but
It doesn't seem to be
feel
working.
it doesn't seem to be working. I don't know, because it's, like, non-negotiable, right? That has to get done, and
Yeah.
we, as a gender, generally won't I it's not like you can just go on strike with that stuff and just not do it, like, it has to get done, and if
Mm,
your partner isn't doing it, well, then I guess you're
yeah,
going
it
to.
has to be equal. One thing that I think millennials have done well is find find partners that are supportive and they communicate and they they are aware of the mental load even more in an earlier generation. So I feel like that's something that millennials have done right, or at least I've done right. I don't know. I can't speak for a whole
Yeah.
generation, but but
No, I
I
think you're
feel
right. I
good.
think it's I don't think I think Gen X women bore an undue burden because Gen X men still have a boomer mindset,
Mhm.
and I think that's why you're seeing a lot of Gen X divorces as much as my
Yeah.
generation had was the first generation to be children of divorce, really, like en
Yeah.
masse. And
Yeah.
they saw the damage that it does. They felt the damage. They were the collateral damage. And so they tried to have that not be the case in their lives.
Mhm.
But now I feel like there's this big wave of once the kids are old enough that it's not going to impact them quite so
Mhm.
deeply. There's this big wave of divorces because a lot of Gen X women are seeing millennial women, are seeing Gen Z women, not settle for someone who expects them to do 95% of the emotional labor, and whatever, 85% of the domestic
Yeah.
chores. And they're like, yeah, this has sucked for a long time. And it's time we evolve.
Think it depends on who raised you. My husband's parents did really well, like, because the primary parent was Gen X and a mom, he's very, like, emotionally aware and supportive, and I just feel very lucky to have found someone.
Aw.
I feel like it could have gone wrong in a million different ways early on, but he's a great partner, and I wanted to make sure that I pointed him out because he subscribed and he's gonna listen. So,
Gotta give a shout out where shout out is
yeah, I
due.
have to shout him out so he knows he's doing a good job.
Yay! Hooray for supportive partners. This article came out, I think it came out today, or maybe I just noticed it today. It was posted by The Atlantic, but this article came out about how for the first time, women are marrying men that are less successful in their careers and less educated than they are. And I noticed it sparked this debate, these comments about some men saying, like, that's really messed up to say that someone is less than because they're less educated or less make less money or less, ambitious or whatever, successful in their careers. And then other people coming back and saying, well, women have historically and still to this day had to work much harder to accomplish the same things as men. So if I'm in a race, for lack of a better word, with a
Yeah.
man, and let's just and they have a much easier route, right? Like, you're both trying to get to the same
Yes.
destination, but you have a lot more rocks rolled in your path and you're
Uh-huh.
more uphill or whatever it is, and you don't get as far as I do, then I have to wonder what's up. And there were so many good points that were made. Like, I see both sides, and obviously how much someone makes or how educated someone is or how successful they are in their careers is not a measure of their value as a human being. But the article was just interesting in that for the first time, women are the more educated person
Counterpart.
in marriages now. Not always, but I mean, there's this trend and it's
Mhm.
never been seen before. And my daughter, who's applying to law schools right now, mentioned, and it's funny because to her it's not anything, but to me, I was like, doink, what? Um, she said 60% of people in law school right now are women. So
Oh,
they actually outnumber men in law school right now.
mm,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, and it's funny because she it was like part of something else that she was saying, and I was like, You're gonna have to rewind it back again." Like, it didn't even, stick out to her.
It didn't
That
phase her
wasn't the
at
point,
all.
not at all.
Yes. And
And I was
that's
like, "Wow."
because you've seen that, like, that statistic wasn't there. That is proof that, like, the bar is moving, and
Mhm.
and how fortunate of your daughter that it doesn't even phase her, and she doesn't even realize the doors that have been opened because that's the world that she got to grow up in, and, like, that's an incredible gift that I don't think our previous generations have gotten. I mean, I feel like as a
Yeah.
millennial, I'm more aware of how the doors have been opening, and I think that that's kind of why there's a certain sense of embarrassment that comes with w- wanting to be a parent, because when you're presented with the idea that you can be anything, and that was kind of the idea that was planted in a lot of kids my age, and then
Mhm.
your aspiration is to do something that everyone has done for millions of years. That's the role women were given. It feels like I'm not pushing the boundary, and it feels as women, as a woman, you're supposed to be pushing forward for. I feel like that's where that shame comes from. But I also wanted to mention that, as we've talked before, there are women that were pushed into parenthood and they didn't really have a choice. A lot of, like, our grandparents or our great grandparents maybe didn't want to be mothers, and they didn't
Right.
really have a choice because that was the role. And I like to remember that I wanted to be a parent for a very long time, and I got to do that, and I'm getting to do that every day. And that is a choice that I get to have and get to make, and that is a gift too.
Absolutely. And, just to add to your point, there were women parents, both, who maybe wanted to be parents, but maybe didn't wanna be parents to 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 kids,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah,
And, like,
because
that's the
birth
way it was for
control.
my grandparents, and for my parent as Catholics, it was like, "You have as many as God wants you to have," you know? And
Yeah,
it's like, "Really?" I knew somebody with 14 kids, you know? It's like,
yeah,
it's a lot, you know?
that
And that isn't a conversation that was had, just a couple generations ago. It was like, you didn't get to pick, you know?
and how scary and sad. I appreciate that there's a choice, and even though I can get, like, that little voice inside of my head that's like, "You should be doing more," or "You could be doing better," I have to remember that we were given choices and happy with the choices that I made.
Yeah. And like, by the way, you don't you wouldn't feel like the same pressure should be put on men to now all be nurses or teachers or right?
No.
They can do that now
No.
and they
That
couldn't do
doesn't
that in the 70s even. It was like almost unheard of. But that doesn't mean
Yes.
they should feel guilty if they don't want to be a nurse or a teacher or
Yes.
you know?
And on the reverse of that article, I understand why it was offensive to men because it felt like it was pointed like men aren't doing enough or like they're not accomplishing as much anymore because women have like surpassed them or whatever. But I think that if you reframe it, it's taking the pressure off of men because I don't think supporting your family financially is easy. It's very
Mm-mm.
stressful. Life gets expensive. It's like really great for both because there's less pressure. It's proving that there's equality happening. Just because a woman is making more money than a man, it doesn't mean that he is less than. It means that she's contributing and the pressure is even. Like
Right.
you're both pushing forward.
And also that American notion of more, more, more. You always have to be doing more. You always have to be
Uh-huh.
accomplishing more.
Yeah.
What's wrong with being happy with where you are?
Satisfied. Yes. And I think, I mean, I can't be certain, but I know that there are other cultures that don't put so much emphasis on the grind, like the side hustle, accumulating. We're in a constant state of like accumulation and acquiring things, and
Yes,
the point is to be happy. So that's what we should be striving towards.
that the way to combat that is inclusivity, is
Yes.
a rising tide lifts all boats, not just
Very
female boats.
everyone.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
everyone, children, men, are going to benefit from women having the ability to choose how their how many children, if any, they want to have,
Mhm.
um, what they want to do with their lives, if they want to be stay-at-home parents or
Mhm.
working parents. Everyone benefits. And this
Yes.
whole like I guess it sells papers or whatever, but commercial, but
Mhm.
it's not helping our society at all.
No, those voices are just added noise to muddle like the overarching goal.
I was talking to a friend about the conversation that we're having now on women being full-time parents and what that how that feels. What I think for my age group now, there are parents who've stayed home and raised their kids, and
Mhm.
they're primarily mothers, but there are fathers too, who are in their 50s and their kids are going off to college. And then there's this feeling of, well, what are you going to do? And it feels not great because it feels like there's this judgment or this expectation, and she has her own interior design business that she does part-time, but she's happy. She does that when when she gets a client, and when she doesn't have a client, that's fine too. And now there's this expectation of like, well, what are you going to do now? And it's like, I don't think I owe it to you to like go back to school and get a master's degree and become a therapist or like whatever you expect of me.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy. I'm okay where I am. I'm good.
Yes. I it goes back to that you can find satisfaction in your life. Like, you don't always have to be chasing something after. And I understand that, like, the empty nest syndrome can, like, really free up a lot of your time. Like, you go from 100 to 0, essentially, especially if your kids are in
Mhm.
college and they're out of the home full time. Uh, and that can feel like a shock, but that doesn't mean that you need to rush out and fill all of that time. It's important to balance it between hobbies and maybe your work, and also being bored. Like, there are studies that show that, like, you just gotta be bored sometimes and not be doing
Mhm.
anything so that your brain can process and also think of new things to spend your time with. It doesn't always mean that we need to be filling every single second of our day with work and school and chores and solving world peace or something. I don't know. It's you, you
Right.
gotta you gotta
Right,
just
it's okay to take a minute and then
yeah.
decide that what you wanna do is plant a garden or, you know,
Yes, that's what I'm
volunteer
doing, you know?
somewhere or learn how to paint or
Yes.
whatever, you know?
It doesn't always have to be tied to, like, financial gain, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is the American way is like well, if you are not actively in a full-time paying job or as a full-time parent, like engaged as a full-time parent the entire
Mhm.
day, how are you gonna make money? Where's the money gonna come from? What are you gonna do to make
Yeah.
money? You know, that is the underlying driving force behind our mindset.
Yes, to never be content.
Mhm. And ambition's
Or
good, but,
oh, yeah. But knowing when you've made it, you know? Like, having there's always that thing where, like, set a goal with, like, the end in mind. Like, what is the
Mhm.
end goal? Because if you
Right.
keep pursuing a goal that never ends, you're going to run yourself into burnout. So, you have to know what the end goal is. And if the end goal was to raise your family and your children and see them become successful adults, then, like, you did it. And as long as your bills are paid, do whatever the hell you want now.
Right.
You don't have to be
Right. You don't owe
going.
anybody any
Yeah.
explanation or have to, justify your existence. There are a lot of people I know that are struggling with various forms of the same thing that you were saying, which is almost feeling like you have to apologize for your goals and our freedoms and our status is constantly changing. With
Mhm.
each generation, it feels like it's different. We get rights, we lose rights, you know, like it's just like the ground is shifting beneath our feet at any given time that we're always kind of like, what am I supposed to be doing? And looking around at other people to kind of for validation or, you know, something to be like, is this
Mhm.
right? You know, but
Yes.
it's kind of not, it's not really fair to have to live like
Yes.
that, you know?
It's not fair. That's very hard to create, like, a foundation of everyone's on their own path, and my path isn't going to look like my friends or my mother's or my aunts or anyone around me. Like, everyone's path is different, and
Mhm.
I spent a lot of time trying to, like, seek out approval from anyone that I felt was important, and you just kind of lose your path. And so when you
Mhm.
decide that your path is your own and you kind of just go for it and make steps forward and find that confidence, then I feel like it's easier. Times are always changing. So it's like, am I doing the right thing? Should I be
Mhm.
focusing here? And I'm focusing over here. But you just have to trust yourself. Everyone has an opinion.
Mhm.
And you're never gonna make everyone happy. So it's the only approval we should be seeking is from ourselves.
Yes, that
And
is absolutely true.
if you're happy, that's what matters.
Right, and this is what makes me happy. If you're around the right people, what they see is someone who's a full-time parent, a
Mhm,
full-time teacher, and
mhm,
a small business owner.
mhm.
So, any
That's a
one of
lot.
those things, yeah, keeps a
Is
person plenty busy, and you're doing all 3
Yeah,
of them.
yeah. It's too much. But I have fun. It's fun. I feel like I'm having fun most of the
I'm
time.
glad. I'm glad, but, I
Yeah.
think all 3 of those careers deserve vacations now and again, some paid leave.
Yes. Yes, we're planning. I'm planning.
Okay, good. Oh, well, this has been so much fun.
I've
I
had
like,
a blast. Thank you.
I really like getting the millennial perspective on things.
Thank you. I feel honored to be here in
Hmm.
a Gen X podcast. It wasn't on it wasn't on my bingo card, but I'm very happy to be a
It's a
part
little
of it.
2026 bonus.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that you do for Strangers with Kittens. I'm so happy that people are getting to meet you and see the dynamic woman behind the scenes that's making it all happen. And you're so valuable to me, and I really, really appreciate you.
This is one of my favorite projects, and I try to tell you every chance I can get. Like, this is so much fun to do, and I'm so happy to be a part of this. So, thank you again, and I will see you very soon.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
If you like our show, please rate, review, and share on social media. Strangers with Kittens is taped before a live audience of dogs.